Well, welcome everyone to today's conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it is my great pleasure to introduce Leland Brown III. And he's here to talk to us today to take us back to Basics 101 and discuss the origins of understanding, leveraging, and activating diversity, inclusion, and equity in practice. Specifically, how to turn these nouns into verbs and effective action. Leland is the first director for diversity, equity, inclusion at U.S. Swimming. He's a native of Galveston, Texas, and his professional career centers around access to higher education and self-empowerment for traditionally underserved, undervalued, and marginalized communities. So his work includes creating access and equity policies and capacities for the University of Boulder, or Colorado in Boulder, the University of Cincinnati, and Promise Prep Indianapolis, as well as the NCAA. So welcome, Leland. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's just dive right in. Let's go back to the 101 idea that we've talked about, and what exactly is diversity in practice?
Yes. Well, firstly, I'd like to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here. And secondly, when we talk about diversity in practice, what I do in my traditional background, I have a background in English literary studies, specifically etymology, and so I love words. But I also have a background in communication, so understanding that every word has power and has meaning behind it. And then lastly, I have a degree in education as well. So every word has power and meaning to it, but then you have to use it in an effective way to engage with others and educate them, right? And so these words are very important. Diversity being the first word is extremely important. And diversity in its literal sense is a noun. Now, when you tell people, hey, we're out here to do diversity, we're out here to champion diversity, the challenge right away is you can't actually do a noun, right? And so the definition of diversity in the noun sense is a variety or a difference. Webster's just says it's a difference. And so when I look at you and you look at me, we see difference, right? But there's also difference that's internal. So there's external difference and there's internal difference, right? And the external difference is easy to see: short, tall, right? Big, small, white, black, brown. It's easy to see that, but it's not so easy to see the internal stuff, right? So if you just use the definition at face value, the noun, it's not really valuable to use, because you can't activate it if you're trying to find out the deeper diversities from the ones you can't see. So the word that I've coupled with diversity in order to actually find the diversity that is inside of everyone and that also exudes everyone is to connect with them. To connect is to bring together. It's to question. It's to listen. It's to go deeper than just the skin and the surface value, right? Diversity is nothing if you're not connecting with people to actually understand who they are deeper than just what you see. And so, yes, when we say celebrate diversity, what we're saying is celebrate your understanding of someone's culture. Celebrate your understanding of someone's race. Celebrate your understanding of the experience of women, of the experience of those who are LGBTQ, right? So diversity itself is almost valueless without the connection piece of understanding that you must connect and use that verb to find the diversity that is inside of everyone and that also is outside of everyone as well.
Yeah, excellent. You know, we talk a lot about outreach, which is a verb, but the purpose of the outreach is to connect. Yeah, great. Gotcha. So let's talk then, what would inclusion be in practice?
Yes, so inclusion in practice is a good one. To include is what Webster says. I love when they give definitions that have the word in the definition, because it's almost either facetious in nature or useless. But with inclusion being to include often those who are marginalized, often those who are on the fringes. The action behind inclusion, truly to include others, you must accept them. Now, there's a difference between acceptance and approval. And that's what's important to bring to this space. Acceptance simply means accepting that someone's belief, opinion, or explanation is valid or correct. Not valid and correct, valid or correct. Which means that someone who believes something totally outside of what you believe can still be valid, and it can still be correct. How do I know this to be true? I love pineapple on pizza. How about yourself?
It's an abomination.
Right, okay, lovely. There's only usually two types of people. You either love it or you hate it. Now, I try to find the source of why I love it. And it just boiled down to I love pineapple no matter what type of pineapple. And truly when I tried to find out why I liked it versus why I didn't, I couldn't, because I don't know why I like the taste of anything. How about
Sure.
yourself? Do you know why you don't like pineapple on pizza?
Actually, I do, right? Because I spent a lot of time in New York, so I'm a little bit of a pizza purist to begin with, and a pizza snob. And I'm of the opinion that you really can't get a good pizza west of the Mississippi. And right now, I live in the Hawaiian Islands, where it's really hard to find good pizza and to put pineapple on it. And I love pineapple, dude. I grow pineapple. Okay, I literally have pineapple growing in my backyard, and the idea of putting it on a pizza, not only has it not occurred to me, but it's just so cringeworthy when people do it. But people do love it.
Let me
So
tell
I
you,
feel you, okay? Because
I eat burritos, pineapples with burritos. In Mexican culture, there's something called al pastor.
oh, now that I'll do.
I love it.
Absolutely,
So for me,
absolutely. Pineapple and salsa, and even pineapple with tomato and other things, no problem. It's the pizza.
see, I love it. The combination of the tomato sauce with the meat and that pineapple, it's lovely to me.
It is lovely, especially, and fish too.
But it boils down, even if you had a very good New York style pizza, it's truly going to boil down to the fact of you have decided pineapple does not belong on pizza. Period. It's not supposed to go on this thing that's a pizza. And that the origins of that is deeper than right alike or something. It's deeper than, it's like that's something that I just don't want to try because it's not the combination for me.
Right.
Now, for myself, I like the combination. I'm okay with the combination, but it's also okay for my taste palate, my taste buds. There are some people who can't eat broccoli. They can't do it. They don't know why. They gag every time they do it. I love broccoli, right? I can do the combination. I say that because the acceptance thus becomes this. If we were ordering pizza today, you and I decided that I wanted pineapple and pepperoni pizza, I am not going to allow your dislike of the pizza to keep me from ordering the pizza that I want. I'm still going to order a pizza for you, and I'm going to order a pizza for me. And if I can't do that, I'm going to order a half and half pizza. Because we can do that. We have the option to order half of it this.
Absolutely.
Have that.
Absolutely.
That is acceptance.
Right. And I totally agree. I may not approve, okay, but I uphold your right to put pineapple on pizza. As long as there's no peanut butter involved, though. Okay. You got to draw the line somewhere.
I love it. And so that's the point of inclusion. In order to truly include someone, you have to accept that maybe the things that they like, their lifestyle, the way that they live, although you don't approve of it, it's still something that has to be accepted in order for you to truly include the person. Inclusion is also a noun. So again, you can't use it. We're telling people to go out and champion it and love inclusion and fight for it. And you quite literally can't do it. So this verb helps us understand that truly to include others, in order to actually bring them to the table, you have to accept that their brain is actually as intellectual as yours, as witty as yours, as caring as yours, right? Like, and if you look at the person across the aisle from you, that's that woman, that's gay, that's black, that's brown, that's too short, that's too tall, that's too wide, that's too small. If you look at that person and you say, I don't approve of their stature, I don't approve of these diversities that I see, and that allows you to not accept their voice, not accept their intellect, then you exclude them. You exclude them from the organizational mission. You exclude them from the vision. You exclude them in their daily work projects, etc. But if we include them, what we're truly doing is again, we're accepting that no matter who they are, no matter what they look like, no matter any of these diversities that I see externally, I'm still going to include them and accept their voice, accept that they're just as smart, just as valuable as myself and as anybody else in this organization.
Great. And let them have the pineapple.
Right.
Pineapple to the people.
Right.
So then let's then address the equity, right? What would be equity then in as a verb?
Yes. So equity in its original sense, it's noun form. We know it defined by two things. So first, it's the competition or fairness of competition. So creating fairness in a space is the first primary definition of equity. And then the second is money or shared values in a company, right? So both of those things actually have a connection, money and fairness. And those things there's something that you have to provide, right? You can't say I got money without providing it. You can't say that I got fairness without someone providing fairness for you, right? And so in this space, equity is fairness, and equity also is providing for you, specifically something that's provided for you. Provide is the verb here. You don't get equity without someone providing what you need. Now, there's a difference between equity and equality. Equality is giving everybody the same thing. Equity is giving everybody what they need based on where they are. I work in swimming at USA Swimming, as you already alluded to. So the example that I'll give for equity here is going to be a swimming related one. There are 3 people in the water drowning. One can hold their breath for 5 minutes, the other can hold their breath for 3, and the other can only hold their breath for 30 seconds, okay? With that, if we were going and we were being equal at this moment, if we were being equal, we would have to say the cutoff is we're going to help them all at 1 minute, or we're going to help them all at 30 seconds. Now, if we help them all at 1 minute, one person obviously loses their life. If we, though, take an equitable approach, equal approach is, again, helping them all at the same time. An equitable approach is helping each person when they need to be helped. So we can help the person who breathes 30 seconds, we can help them first, right? We rescue them first. Then we go to the 3-minute person, and then we go to the 5-minute person, right? That makes sense. It's staggered, right? And we're helping people based on where they're at and based on their actual capacity. We found in the world that when you give everyone the same resources, it doesn't always work out to be helpful. If I say I have a pair of 11 shoes and I'm going to hand everybody out in the world 11 shoes and I'm being extremely helpful, I find out that everybody in the world actually doesn't need a size 11 shoe. They have their own size feet. And I could have been more helpful by giving them the specific size shoe that they need to walk their lives. That's equity, giving everybody the size that they need. So providing specifically what someone needs to get where they need to go. And that's extremely important. So equity is providing what someone needs and specific to where they're at and what their needs are in a space.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. The idea that equity is not the same as equality has resonated in a number of these conversations. You treat people based on what nobody's equal, right? Unless they're starting at the same point with the same thing or have the same shoe size.
Right.
So everybody needs to be met as the individual, and this tracks through to things like training, right? Training and development, right? Promotions, etc. As long as you treat people fairly and pay them fairly based on the results and the position that they're in and so forth, that is truly what employment equity would be. Not that all are equal. We do believe in treating them equally throughout the process, like in the hiring process is a good example of that every applicant comes through the same funnel and the same steps, and nobody is given preferential treatment or detrimental treatment, as the case may be, right? That the expectation is that all will go through. But take, for example, if someone is mobility challenged, you might need to make an accommodation to accommodate, so that person can be interviewed or fairly, right?
That makes sense.
So, okay, so you mentioned the CAP then, right? The cap, if you will, right? And so there's no DEI without the cap.
Yes.
Tell us a little more about that.
Yes, so DEI and what we just spelled out, we started with diversity, and then we went to inclusion, and then we went to equity. So I believe that these things are chronology; they're built upon each other. You start with diversity, you start with connecting with people and understanding truly who they are, and then after you understand who they are, then you can better help include them in your processes, your policies, your thoughts, right? Your organizational values, your culture, etc. And then after you include them in this space, now you can work on providing for them. You've accepted their needs, you've accepted their voice, you've accepted them as valid. Now we can work on providing for them. So what that just spelled out for you was CAP. In education, we love our acronyms. It's CAP. So it spells diversity, inclusion, and equity CAP, your DEI CAP. So what I ask people to do daily is just think about doing one of these things or doing all three of these things formulaically daily. If you connect with one person, you accept something new. You accept someone new, an explanation, a lifestyle. Accept it truly as valid. And then you provide for one person. At the end of the day, what you can do is if you do one of these things, each three of these things, at the end of the year, 365 days of the year, you've connected with someone. You've also accepted 365 new things. You've also provided for 365 new groups, new communities, new people. We love this work and we want to change the world in a day. And when we say, hey, we want to change the system, or hey, we want to change the organization, what we truly need to recognize is it's individual efforts that get us there. And so if we have individuals that are more connected with each other, that are more accepting of each other, and that are providing for each other, just taking this CAP formulaically daily, then what happens is our culture changes individually and organically. Our values become intertwined with each other, right? Our proficiency and productivity rises because we actually trust and are motivated and are confident in our organizational mission or our values, right? The things that we say that we exude or we want to live or live out for. And so that DEI CAP is a way for me to recognize that I am taking little small steps daily. I'm connecting with others daily. I'm accepting others' needs daily, and I'm providing for others daily in a formulaic way.
That is really, really excellent. I want to add one more thing. This is a little off our original discussion, and that's so much of what you just said about how the CAP applies in theory and practice. It resonates with me in the sports world, right? Because you're part of the U.S. swimming organization, and I find that sports, science, music, art, like the cultural aspects of the many diverse cultures of the peoples of the earth, this is often a doorway, right, to help break down those barriers, because now you have a team of just, diverse individuals that are working together as a team. And even though you still have to break through, right, like push for that connection and acceptance, that's part of the team building, right? And the same when it resonates like through training, right? People need different things and need to work on different aspects of their stroke or their dive or, whatever it is that they're working on. So to me, these cultural aspects of society, right? Sports, science, music, art, in a way transcends many of those cultural barriers. And even though we might have different music or art, you have that foundation, right, as a society, and can appreciate the work or the talent or the skill of another athlete, right, or another musician. So to me, this type of expression, this human expression in sport and art, it goes a very long way towards pushing those boundaries and advancing that mission, right, to promote fairness, right, and give everyone that opportunity. That thought just came to me, and I'm wondering if you have any thoughts around that as well.
No, that's a great thought and also a very astute thought. Also, the corollary between music and art and sport, all of these things are an interfusion. They're a language. And
Yes.
they're a
Yes.
language that everyone speaks. Everybody speaks the language of kicking the ball and hearing the fresh smack off of the pitch. Everybody speaks the language of seeing a softball or a little league game, right? Everybody speaks the language of hearing the pads thud on Sunday. And we don't even know why we center our lives around a game on Sunday, but we do it because it's a language that we all, right, speak and can come together. However, I would be remiss if I didn't say that in all of these spaces, because I've worked at the NCAA at the collegiate level, I'm working at an NGB or national governing body overseeing the sport of swimming. I've worked in the small recreational space. I've also worked in the high school or interscholastic space. And there's something that's similar in all of these spaces. And when you allude to sport, what's the first thought we think? Able-bodied, muscular, larger women, men, right, that are talented. We don't often think about the wheelchair basketball player. We don't often think about, right, the pole vaulter, right, on the Special Olympics team. We don't often think about like the kids who are also athletic and extremely athletic and fighting disabilities, which makes them, I think, even more athletic. We don't think about those kids, the Jamal Hills of the world, who are battling their own ails physically and is still able to compete at the Special Olympics level and the Olympics level, high caliber competition. I say that because it shows you that we still have more accepting to do in this sport.
Right. Everyone starts at a different place. Right.
We have far more connecting to do with those people and populations left behind in our sport, right? We have far more providing to do, and that's just one space. But we look at all of the different sports all throughout the nation, and we can look at art, we can look at music. We always find that at the end of the day, there is some population that we can connect to better and that we can accept their challenges and needs better, and we can provide for them better, regardless of where we are. And so I love the thought that we all start in areas that are universal languages, so it's easier to attract, right, people, and it's easier to attract maybe community. But once we get that community, we have to do something with it. It's not just a spectacle. It's not just a sport. It has to be something that's a cultural vehicle to change, and a cultural vehicle to more connection, to more acceptance, and more providing or more equity for others in the long run.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing this expertise with the human resources and the recruiting community. As Smart Search has been developing our technology platform to support diversity in hiring, we're talking with folks like you and our clients and people in the industry to address some of the challenges and better understand the trends and provide practical solutions for employers on how they can really create that more diverse and inclusive workspace. Thank you so much, Leland.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for being here. And for those who are tuned in and who have tuned in or will tune in, I want to say thank you for giving me the space and the opportunity to share my insights with you. Thank you so much for your time.